Man, we got to talk about these fucking console warriors.
bro.
For-
It's funny. It's like you got to understand, and you know this well. These console warriors, they're not kids. These are
no.
grown ass men with families and wives and shit. It's like, and they're still on that bullshit. I don't get it, man. Like, I understand having a preference, but we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Hi, everybody. This is Jennifer Hale. You know me from video games, from animation, Commander Shepard in Mass Effect, Jean Grey in X-Men 97, a whole bunch of stuff. And you are listening to the Kasanova Podcast. Aloha, mahalo, enjoy.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I'm joined today by the one, the only Tony Polanco. Huge, massive honor having you on the show, man. How you living today?
I'm great, man. It's an honor to be here, bro. Like, for you guys who don't know, we've known each other on Twitter for a bunch of years, but we've never really like spoken. I mean, I guess camera to camera in this case, but so we were just chopping it up about some shit that was going on Twitter as usual, and then it's like, yo, you should be on a podcast. Like, yeah, let's do it, man. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Yeah, and for the audience, I just want to let you guys know Tony he's a senior writer for Tom's Guy. He's been on PC Mag, Laptop Mag, Coalition, host of the Throwdown podcast. Man, you making the moves out here, man.
That's it. Yeah, no, dude, it's crazy. Like, I've been doing this like for. Here's the thing about writers: we're bad with math, so I gotta like.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know what it is. It's like we hit a wall, 13 years I've been doing this. I started 2012, so that's 13, I think. I don't know.
Anyway, yes, it is.
Yeah. Either way, hot minute. So yeah, I've obviously you kind of listed all the sites I've been on, but yeah, I've been at Tom's Guide for for the last almost 3.5 years. And bro, I was just thinking about this. Like, come like November, I would have been doing this like paid professionally for 10 years, because the first 2 years I wasn't making any money. It was all out of my own pocket, going to shows, going to E3 and stuff, just out of the passion, just knowing that if I worked hard, I would eventually land become making money off this. And for almost 5 years, I've been doing it like full time, where like, because you know about freelancing, bro. Like, sometimes the checks don't look good.
They don't. No.
So I was like, I'm kind of tired of that. I don't want to change, but freelancing was still fun. You do what you want, wake up what you want. Now I'm like, I'm on a clock and shit. It's like, gotta get up by 9, bro. Gotta be at work, gotta be in the office, But regardless, I still do what I love: gaming, tech, all that good jazz, man. And the podcast, for you guys who don't know, Throwdown, that's been going. We actually celebrated 10 years last year, 500 episodes, and that's 2 podcasts. It's Throwdown, which is kind of like a normal news show. We talk about gaming, and then Throw Down Your Questions. There was another version of the podcast before that, where we did the regular show and then the question show like together. But the questions were so long, it's like, yo, we got to split this up. So I'm kind of proud of the fact that it's like over 500 episodes of 2 podcasts, never miss a single episode.
Nice. All right. Before we dive into the meat and potatoes, man, we got to talk about these fucking console warriors.
Bro. It's funny. It's like, you got to understand, and you know this well. These console warriors, they're not kids. These are grown ass men with families and wives and shit. It's like, and they're still on that bullshit. I don't get it, man. Like, I understand having a preference, but we'll get into it. Like, I'll let you set things up, because yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, so for those of y'all who don't know, Xbox had a developer direct the other day. At the time of this recording, it was yesterday, and we got, was it Doom: The Dark Ages, Ninja Gaiden 2 Blacks just stealth dropped, Ninja Gaiden 4 got announced, a bunch of other stuff. And you got people out here like, oh, Xbox finally got games, and well, y'all are finally excited because you finally got some games. And it's like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, I don't get it, man. Here's the funny thing, right? Most of those games, I think South of Midnight, correct. I always kind of get that title wrong. I believe South of Midnight is the only game that isn't coming to PlayStation day and date. All the other ones are coming to day and date. So I'm looking at the PlayStation guys. I'm like, you realize that you're shitting on games that are coming to your platform on the same day as Xbox. What is going on here? What are we doing, bro? Like, this is how stupid they are. Like, they don't think like, oh, I want to make fun of Xbox. You finally have games. Like, those games are coming to your fucking console, bro. Like, what are we doing here? It's so silly, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, back when we were younger, the console war stuff was kind of funny and shit. But now, older you get, the more pathetic it is. And it's like, you see the pivot, right? Xbox, they literally said everything is an Xbox now, right? They want you to play Xbox games, whatever the platform. Sony's putting out their games on PC. The notion of exclusives is kind of eroding. And you buy a system for exclusives. I get that, but at the same time, why can't it be like, and this is me showing my age, like back in the day, you bought a VCR, it could play tapes from whatever, it doesn't matter, so why can't consoles be like that? And when I say consoles, I'm specifically talking about PlayStation, Xboxes. Nintendo's kind of, they do their own thing, so they don't really affect her. They're doing their own thing. They're very successful at it, obviously. But yeah, to the point we're talking about, it's like all these, like, no, is it 90% of games that are released right now come to both platforms, and then even exclusives are on PC for both of them, bro. All the big PlayStation exclusives, obviously it's not day and date, but they come to excuse me. The big first party was because you got stuff like Helldivers, bam, day and date. The exclusives are just going away, but it's funny how these guys just cling to this stuff. And the reason they do this is because they tie their self-worth to these brands. So any like criticism of the brand is a criticism on them, which is stupid. It's like, bro, who cares? For example, I love Street Fighter. Somebody comes up to me, man, fuck Street Fighter. I love whatever. I'm like, cool. Doesn't hurt me. I didn't make Street Fighter, But yeah, man. So yeah, and obviously, you're like me. You've been watching this console war stuff for a while. So I want to get your take on it, man. Like, what do you think about this latest rank? Because it really does seem more pathetic than usual,
It is way more pathetic. And I'm going to say this for the audience. The last time the console wars actually made a damn difference was Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis on the playground. That was it.
Yes.
That was it.
That was it. But here's the thing, though. Even back then, we would talk shit about the console, but what would we do at the end of the day? We go to our friend's house and play it.
Yeah. We did.
We used to play it, but now these cats act like Xbox, like it'll like radiate them or something. It's like it's poisonous. Like, I think just the fact that, because here's the thing, you could talk shit about consoles like face to face, but only to a certain point, because if you step over the line, if you said playground, somebody might get fucked up. But online you could have these thugs, as I like to call them, just talking all this stuff and no repercussions. So yeah, it's crazy, bro. But it's like Metal Gear, right? War never changes. Console wars never change.
They never do. Man, like I saw so many people, like, back when what was it, the Xbox Series S and X got announced, and I went, because I picked up the PlayStation 5. Just because I'm over here, like, if it's got games, at this point, is what controller do you want to pick up and play it on? Yeah. And for me, I'm like, all right, last gen, I had all the platforms and PC. I'll do it again this year. And then people were like saying to me, oh, if you buy an Xbox, you got a low IQ. You got to be a retard if you. And I'm just like, why is it that? It ain't that fucking serious.
It really isn't, man. It's like they call Xbox the poverty box and stuff. It's like all this insane shit, I don't know. It's just getting dumb every day. Dudes need to stop. But again, that's all they have now. All they have is just get on Twitter and talk shit,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, and keeping it mad real right now, all that like dick writing, let's just call it what it is, all that console dick writing doesn't get them anywhere, bro. With Sony and Xbox doesn't get them anywhere. See, guys like me and you, right? We go about things professionally, and companies reach out to us. They work with us, right? Because we do things the right way. These cats with this nonsense, like, those companies are never going to treat you like with respect because you don't deserve it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what to hope to gain from this. Like, are they going to look back when they're old and tell their grandchildren, yeah, man, I was on Twitter, man, fuck Xbox. Like, come on. Is that something to be proud of? You know? I was in a great console war of 2022 or some bullshit, you know? It's so dumb, man. It is ridiculous.
Oh my God. And to hop on your point, like when it comes to working with these companies, like, yeah, they will reach out to you. If you are writing good articles or you're making great content, trust me, people watch. The industry is watching and they vet out, okay, this person, I'm gonna work with them. This one, I don't know about it. Like I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago when PlayStation was like, hey, we like your content, let's partner with you. And I'm like, what? I thought it was a bullshit ass email, but it's like, nope, PlayStation Talent Partnership. I was like, oh, okay. You know, same thing with Xbox and Nintendo for me. And it's just like, at this point, I've worked with so many different companies. I've gotten to know the PR people, the folks who handle everything, and I understand how they think. It's a very big industry, but the people who actually make the decisions of who to work with is microscopically small. If you do this console bullshit or you start trolling and being an ass online, they notice and you're going to be on the list. Nope, not fucking with them. Nope, not him. Nope, not her. And it's just how it is.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And again, all those partnerships that you have, all because of your hard work and your professionalism, something these guys do not understand. You know,
No.
they just think getting on Twitter or getting on their stupid podcast to talk shit is enough. You know, nope. Like it, and again, I sometimes wonder, like, do they have any aspirations beyond just shit talking? Maybe they don't. Maybe that's the height of what they want, just to talk shit. And if it is, it's kind of pathetic, man. Like you should aim for something higher than that. But you know, they're there, you know, talking all that smack while we're out here making moves and you know actually bringing worth to our audiences. You know.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like we've gotten to this point where it's like, because of like COVID, that's gotten us to a point where all these people who were just home and bored, they flooded into the field and, oh, I'm a journalist now. No, you're not. You're not a fucking journalist. Like there's, oh God, I'm throwing shade, but I'm not going to name them. I'll tell you offline, but I'm not going to say their name, but I'll allude to it. There was a time when I was exclusively covering Steam Deck stuff and you saw a lot of people pop up with that. And one of the biggest ones out there was like reaching out to me to help them write their articles, never gave me credit, didn't pay me, and going around telling people I'm a journalist, but doesn't know any of the formats for journalism, doesn't know how to write anything, and I don't know, use ChatGPT for a bit.
Oh boy. Bro, yeah, we'll definitely talk offline because there's something else. Because one of the other reasons, like you kind of came to my radar, I'm not going to bring it up, but you know, some female kind of came after you all sideways, and then you know, it turned out that her backyard wasn't exactly trimmed and all that. So it's like, yeah, you talk stuff, bro, it'll come back to you. You know, like that's why you got to do things right. I'll tell you this, man, no one's going to find any dirt on any of us because we're clean. I purposely made sure, you know, like, yeah, there may be, you know, obviously we're successful, so people are going to hate, obviously, but professional people that matter, they all work with us, bro. They all work with us. That's just how it is, man. And these cats don't understand that. So you know what? You keep on with your console wars, bro. Keep doing your thing. You're not going to get anywhere. I don't know. Maybe you're going to impress your little friends or whatever, but you're not going to get anywhere else, man.
No, they're not at all. And dude, I definitely want to say this, man. The work that you put out, man, is really one of the things that inspired me to get into it. Like to be able to talk about tech, talk about gaming, and talk about it with like a certain finesse and swag that you got. Like that was inspiring for me. So man, I want to say thank you for the content you've been putting out.
No, thank you for that. And I'm really happy you say that because that's part of the reason I'm doing this stuff. It's like I want people to see. It's like because I'm just a regular dude, you know, in my mind. So I want it's like, yo, if you have a passion for whatever it is that you're into, gaming, tech, maybe both, you could follow it. So I'm really every time people tell me that, you know, I feel very happy, and I always feel that I got to pay stuff forward too. It's like I got to help out however I can. As a matter of fact, I remember this is just being completely honest right now. When we were DMing about this, I realized that you DM'd me like 4 years ago about something, and I was like, "Oh shit, I never got back to you," and I felt so bad because that's literally what I do, bro. People hit me up about contacts, like, "Yo, go to this, go to this." Sometimes I tell them, "Don't say my name." Sometimes I'll say, "Drop my name," but I try, like, I believe because there's a lot of people that help me get to where I am, so I
Mhm.
need to pay that forward as much as possible. And I know some people, I don't know, man, it's kind of interesting, like, and I don't know if you feel this way too, like some people that you meet, like they may be like in awe of you or whatever, but I'm like, yo, I'm not, I don't see myself that way. I'm just trying to do the best
Right.
job I possibly can. And obviously, you could conflate what we do with like, being an artist, right? And if you're a real true artist, you're never 100% happy with what you put out. Even you could get
Yeah.
all the praise in the world, in the back of your mind, I'm like, that could have been better, man. That could have been better. But I don't want to lose that. I
Yeah.
need that drive. Like, obviously, I want it to be level where it's like I'm proud of my accomplishments, but I don't want to get too gassed up. Because there's
Yeah.
always someone better, someone hungrier. So don't get full of yourself. But yeah, man, thank you for the kind words, man. That really means a lot. That's what it's all about to me.
Yeah, and one of the things too, like when it comes to, when you get the connections and you start working with the industry, like you have to protect your contacts in a way. Like you got to vet people. And I learned that the hard way, man.
Yeah.
I kind of, for a bit there, I kind of fucked up a relationship I had with Turtle Beach because like I was trying to help other creators and they got sent mics and all this other stuff and keyboards and stuff, and people just didn't make content at all. And then I got hit up by Turtle Beach. They're like, okay, where they content at? You referred
Yeah.
them, and like you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. So if there's anyone out here listening, if you've put in the work and you've gotten the opportunity to work with brands, protect that relationship, foster it too, and I don't just pop up when you want something, but at the same time you got to protect your because it reflects poorly on you if you refer someone and then they don't do shit or they
Yeah.
fuck up something.
Yeah, thankfully, I haven't gotten into that situation, but that's hard because it's like that's your word. Like you're like, yeah, your word is being like questioned. It's like, should we really trust this guy now? And it's not anything you did. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not that these other people didn't live up to their responsibility. Because there's so many, bro. Again, I've known so many people that they think they're just in it for free shit. And it's
Hmm.
like it shouldn't be like that, man. You shouldn't be thinking like that. And I'll tell you this, and I'm pretty sure you could agree, a lot of those people, they don't last long, man. They don't
No.
last long, because they're not in it for what you're supposed to be in it for, to produce content for your readers or watchers or whatever. They never last, man. And I'll tell you this, I'm not going to name any names, but when I first started in this industry, there was a lot of cats, that I knew that were talking shit about me, like, "Oh, you ain't gonna make it. You don't know where this shit runs, bro. You don't know nothing." Those guys ain't around anymore, man. Ain't that something?
Man, I did a podcast a week ago with like my brother, and he brought that up. He's like, bro, I remember 10 years ago when you said you were going to do podcasting and content and people were laughing you out of the building. He said, now where they at? I'm like, ain't none of them around. They
That's it.
quit.
Yeah, no, because a lot of those people, they want you to play it. I'm trying to phrase this right. Not because of PC bullshit, but like I'm trying to phrase it right. It's like they they basically they're putting themselves in your shoes. They're like, oh, I'm not gonna try that shit. But so then they don't want you to try it. Because I do believe there are some people that are just saying that because they honestly care for you. Because let's
Yeah.
just be honest, podcasting, bro. I've been doing podcasting for over 10 years. I barely make any money off this shit. Like I make money off my writing, it's a hard
Hmm.
deal. So some people, if anybody tells you, hey, maybe you should consider something else, it may not be a bad thing because it
Yeah.
is difficult. But at the same time, there will be people. It's like, nah, man, you can't make it. They're just hating. They're just like negative and shit. So you got to kind of figure out who to listen to. But if
Yeah.
that, and I know you must, because again, we do different things, but it's the same thing. You have that voice in you that compels you. Go forward. Don't stop. Because I got told the same thing too. Like people with the games writing. Remember what I said at the beginning of the podcast? For 3 years, I wasn't making shit. You know, people were like, no, bro, you need to stop. You need to stop. And there were points too where I would be like, man, what the hell am I doing, bro? But I kept going because that fire was there. And I knew if I kept going, I would reach where I am right now. And I know you had the same, conversations in your head as well, and that's inspirational, man. Like out there, like you can do this stuff, like there's a lot of us out here. And even though, the industry may be kind of small in that way, there's still room for you to really stand out if you provide some good content. But as long as you have that passion, man, you're not really going to be led astray.
Yeah, it's true. And man, this is I'm loving this podcast so far. Yes. You're the second Dominican I've had on the show. I'm Dominican too. A lot of people don't know that, because they're like, oh, aren't you Samoan, Hawaii? Yeah, I am, but I'm Dominican. My dad is Dominican, so it's like you're the second one I think.
Best of both worlds, baby. Let's go.
I know, right? So man, it's I love seeing us in the space, man. But I gotta ask you this: how come you haven't migrated over to Blue Sky?
Listen, man. I've been on Twitter since 2010, and I'm only really on Twitter because for work. I got to keep up with stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I've always said this, and I'm gonna hold true to this. If there's ever a point where Twitter burns down, I'm done with social media, bro. I think social media is pretty damn toxic. So I'm not trying to start another social media account. So I'm like, this is why you barely see me on Instagram. I don't have Instagram has their own Twitter.
Oh, Threads?
Threads, yes. I'm not on Threads. I'm not on fucking whatever the hell it was, Mastodon, none of this stuff. I will give Blue Sky props for actually sticking around, because how many of these other social media podcasts or social media platforms that came up, people were like, oh, I'm going to go to that now. No one's there anymore. So that's the main reason. I'm a Twitter guy. I'm lazy. I don't want to move. I'm good. I'm exclusive to Twitter, talking about platform exclusivity. You want to find me, I'm there. That's the reason.
Well, it's almost like people don't understand that, like, with social media platforms, you're gonna have they're all platform. All these social media platforms are fucking toxic.
Yeah.
But the thing what people don't realize is you can literally, like, if you only look at what you're interested in, the algorithm will cater it to what you're looking at. Like me, I don't see a lot of toxic shit, but then again, the only thing I'm looking at is tech, gaming, and podcasts. That's all I'm looking at on my social media. And if I'm on Instagram, badass women.
Yeah, here you go.
I'm just saying, they're everywhere. But it's like, that's what I'm looking at. So when I hear people like, oh, I'm getting off this, it's so toxic. I'm like, well, what are you looking at that's feeding that into your algorithm? Because you have to have looked at something. And it's like people don't understand how these platforms work.
No, you're 100% right about that. I'm guessing, I probably see a lot of that toxic shit because, gaming could be like that, or some of these spaces and stuff I'll click on a story, then you look at the comments like, oh boy, here we go. So maybe the algorithm, I don't know how this shit works, but maybe it's like, oh, he's looking at this thread, show more of this type of stuff, but you are right. Like, even though I still see some dumb stuff, it is not as bad as it used to be. I know people are like, oh, Elon took over, it's gotten worse. Maybe for them, for me, it kind of hasn't. But it's also because I've also purposely pulled away as much as possible. I'm still on there, for news and stuff, and to talk my shit if I have to. But it's not as much as I used to live on Twitter. Like, I'll tell you a story. And I think I've told this on my podcast a while ago. I had a doctor's appointment maybe 10 years ago now, bro. It was regular checkup, nothing special. But randomly, sometimes, while you're doing your checkup and stuff, they'll have some assistants show up. They just want to kind of evaluate where people's headspace is at. Like, hey, are you comfortable taking questions? I'm like, I'm waiting for my doctor, because when you go to doctor, bro, your doctor goes away and you got to wait 30 minutes for him to come back. I'm like, I got nothing better to do. Let's do this, and they asked me, what is the most stressful thing in your life? Bro, without hesitation, I didn't even think. It was like an involuntary response. Without thinking, I said Twitter. And then I was like, first of all, if that's the worst thing that's happened in my life, that you got a pretty good life. And then two, you got to get off this shit, because if some stupid fucking app is causing you problems, you got to get off. Because I used to do that. I used to throw down with these guys, man. This is why I'm hated by all the communities. You know, dudes call me an Xbot, which is funny. I don't even own an Xbox. They call me a Sony pony. They don't call me a Nintendo guy, though. Even though Nintendo guys hate me, bro. They don't like me at all. But I think being hated by everybody is also kind of good, because I'm critical. If you're fucking up, I'm going to call you out. I don't care what platform it is. You know. So yeah, I limit my time now, so it's not as bad as it used to be. But there are people that need to get off, bro. It's like, you know, what's that saying? Twitter's not real life. Yeah, it isn't, because when you meet real people do not act like that. You know, because they'll get fucked up. You know?
Real quick.
They'll get fucked up. You know, so you got to watch it. You know, and I'm proud of saying this, man. The guy that you see on Twitter, that's me in real life, man. And you know how I'm not just saying this, because the first time I went to E3 was in 2013. That was the comment I got from most people. That was the first time I met a lot of them in real life. The comment I got from most people was like, yo, you act exactly the same, because they thought I was putting on an act, you know? And in my head, it messed me up. I'm like, why the fuck would I act different? But bro, I met so many people there that were way different in real life than they were on Twitter. One cat specifically, I'm not going to name names, right? Like, we would always fight all the time, right? So when I met her in real life, I'm like, yo, he's going to fucking deck me, bro. This dude started smiling and laughing. I'm like, I didn't think you were capable of those things, because he was always this hard dude, you know, on Twitter. But in real life, it's like a pussy cat. I'm like, that's wild, bro. You know, but it makes sense why people told me that comment. We're like, oh, you act the same. I'm like, yeah, because so many motherfuckers are fake, you know? Crazy.
No, but that's dead ass. That's how it is, man. Like, I think, was it E3 2019 was my first. That was also kind of like the last in person.
That was the last one, bro. Shit.
Damn. But yeah, that was the first one I went to. I got to meet a lot of the people that I met through doing content. I got to meet Hip Hop Gamer.
All right.
I met, who else did I meet? I met Maximilian, a bunch of other folks. I got to meet a lot of them, a lot of industry people. And then the last time I went to an event, I think it was Final Fantasy 16 event. 2 years ago. Wow. Yeah, I got to go to that, and I got to meet a lot more people, and a lot of them, they said the same thing, like, oh man, you're the same as you are online. I'm like, yeah, because why do you need to put on a fucking face?
Yeah,
you know, exactly. Like, just because the minute someone sees that you're a fraud, okay, there's your reputation right there.
Yeah, you're right. And I think a lot of these people, they may be putting up a front because they feel insecure about who they really are. You know, me and you, we're secure about ourselves. You know, so that's dope. By the way, real quick aside about Hip Hop Gamer, this is going to tell you about how dope this man is, right?
Yeah,
I first met him in 2010. I was not in the industry at all at this point. I was just a regular fan. I ran into him at New York Comic Con. First thing he does, I was like, "Yo, Hip Hop Gamer, I love you, bro." He comes up to me, takes off the belt, puts it on me,
right?
You know? And then we started chopping it up. This was before. I'm not in the industry. I'm just a regular fan, and ever since then, I've been cool with him. He's helped me out a lot. Like, Hip Hop Gamer was a big, not only an inspiration, but like someone who taught me the ropes and stuff, and really helped me get my like feet on the ground in this industry. I will always give respect to him. And also, if you may not know him, Torrance Davis, he is the guy that helped me and Hip Hop Gamer get into the industry, you know. And and Torrance, like my first website I ever wrote for was for Torrance. Guy showed me the ropes, and I was very honored. I still text with him all the time, but I was very honored that I got to see him again during CES a couple of weeks ago. We had dinner and everything, and it's crazy. This is how you know it's real, bro. Again, we don't see each other for many years at a time, but it's like no time has passed when we get together. It's just we pick up when we so there's a lot of people like that in this industry, man. Like, they're just really cool dudes. I also want to give a shout out to my boy Richard Bailey Jr. He's the editor-in-chief of the Coalition, who's also currently on my podcast. Another guy that really helped me out a lot in the beginning, man. I'm really proud of the fact that a lot of the cats I've like met in the beginning, I'm still friends with. That's how you know it's real, you know. And even when even at E3, like it got to a point where I kind of got bigger than some of these guys. You know what I would do? Would I go hang out with the bigger people? No, I'm hanging out with my boys. I'm hanging out with the people that help me. Like, yeah, I could go hang out with like some, you know, bigger name people, no problem. But I want to hang with my people. You know what I'm saying? And when I say my people, not only do I mean the people came up with, but also, you know, minorities like us, bro. You know, like those are the people I want to hang out with. You know, like if you have been loyal to me, I'm gonna be loyal to you because there's a lot of kiss asses in this industry, bro. Like there's cats where they're just using you for shit. They don't care about you as a person, right? Like that. I don't fuck with that. For example, I'm big friends with Paris Lily and Danny Pena from Gamer Tag Radio, right? And I tell this all the time. Listen, I respect you for having the biggest gaming podcast, doing all these interviews, but at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you're my friend. That's what I care about, and that's just that's one of the things I love about being in this industry. It's like I've met so many people that I know for a fact I'm gonna be 80 years old still talking to these people. I'm gonna know you for decades more, bro. It's gonna be like that. I'm telling you,
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's definitely how it is. Like there's a lot of kiss asses, but for every kiss ass is like doubly really good people to really rock with. And like I honestly, like I got to give a lot of props to Hip Hop Gamer too, man. He helped me a lot with my career in this. And when I got to finally meet him at E3 2019, same thing. Put the belt on me, like dap me up, like show me love. And I'm like, bro, who I've been watching for years on YouTube is literally how you are in real life. And that's good shit right there, man.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking about that, because some people may see Hip Hop Gamer, oh, that's an act. No, he's like that. Like in real life, like, okay, you see him on video, he's like at a 10. In real life, he's like a 9 at least. Like, no, he's on, bro. He is like that. He is like that. It is crazy, man.
Oh man, so I definitely want to ask you about with the current landscape of gaming. You got so many AAA, like these AAA games are coming out. A lot of them aren't hitting. You get a couple diamonds in the rough, but like, what's going on with the AAA landscape? Is it really that is just their expectations are way too high, or have we hit a ceiling and they don't know how to go beyond it?
I think it might be both. Obviously, I've been complaining a lot about this generation, right? Like, I feel that all we've been getting, not all, but a lot of what we've been getting is, sequels, remasters, remakes, like very few games. And the reason we're getting few new games is because these games just take forever because like the budgets are bloated. They're trying to pack all this stuff. And it's funny. I remember this was before the pandemic. Sean Layden, who, obviously used to, be with Sony, he said, guys, these budgets are getting out of control. We need to cut this back. And back then, people mocked him for that. Like that, you're crazy. Now they're like, oh shit, he was right. Like, bro, think about it. Like, games are taking so long. I was doing the podcast last night and I was reading something about EA specifically. About their troubles now. They were just putting all their money, and WB, they were putting all their money into a couple of select franchises and hoping they would like blow up. But when these franchises don't blow up, you got problems, right? Whereas before you would have your blockbuster games, but you also had your middle games that would kind of keep things going at a steady pace. The problem now is that middle ground, the AA games, almost don't exist. You either have super blockbusters or indie games.
Yeah.
And it's not sustainable. You're seeing it crumble around you. And to kind of tie it into COVID, right? COVID, the first 2 years were very good for the industry. People were home, they were buying a lot of games. And a lot of the industry, most of the industry were like, the good times are gonna roll. higher, but put money into all this shit, not realizing that
Mm-hmm.
the bubble was going to burst. And you saw that
Yeah.
last year. I remember at the beginning of last year, an analyst said 2024 is going to be a bloodbath for game developers. And it was. Dude, we had thousands of people laid off last year. It was crazy, So I hope that they learned their lessons, scale things back. Not every game needs to be 50,000 hour open world, whatever. You just have focused things, man, because it's not sustainable. You're losing so much money. Look at all these flops, bro. Concord, Suicide Squad, Dragon Age, like all these things are just bombing. So, So I remember somebody asked me years ago, they asked me, hey, do you think there's ever going to be a video game crash? And I said, no way. This is around 2017 where things were really good. I was like, no way. Gaming is too big. Things are going great. And then somebody asked me that recently last year, like, is there going to be a video game crash? And I thought about it. I was like, I think we've been in one for 2 years, bro. And that was last year. So I think around 2022, the crash started happening, but it's not a crash. It's more like a gaming recession, I guess. It's very slow. But if you don't think all those developers being laid off, all those studios being shut down is not a sign of crash, I don't know what else you need to convince you that things are going wrong in this industry. Obviously, if I had a solution, I'd be making billions of dollars. I don't know. I don't really know what they could do, but I do think that scaling things back, making release games more regularly like we used to every 2 years. The games don't need to be 50,000 hours long. I think that'll be a good thing. I think things will overcorrect. But now we're hearing some crazy stuff. There's just a rumor that apparently some in the industry want GTA 6 to cost $100 because it'll give them an excuse to raise their prices. You're gonna lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
GTA 6 and maybe Call of Duty could get away with that, but not shit like Dragon Age.
No.
So dudes are tripping, bro. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the whole state of the industry? Because obviously, it's not good right now, man.
No, I fully agree with you. I think we've been in a crash. I think when a lot of people are thinking crash, they're thinking like Atari and whatnot.
Yes.
And I'm like, nah, it's not like that. But we're seeing it, but it's not in the way that I guess people assume it's just going to, games are going to stop being made. No, they're not going to. It's still the number one entertainment medium in the world. But the fact of what you said, they do need to scale back because these games, the budgets for these games are too big. Like, why does every game need to be 50 to 100 hours long? Why do we need to have almost every game trying to have open world or semi-open world aspects? I'm at a point now, there's so many games coming out. We look at, end of 2022 and all of 2023, bulk of last year, there was too many games coming out that they kind of got lost in the shuffle, was it Final Fantasy VII Rebirth apparently didn't hit projected sales. Well, one thing I keep saying, and I get a lot of flack from the Final Fantasy people.
Yeah.
And those they love everything Final Fantasy VII. Square Enix has put themselves in a really bad position because any game that is not Final Fantasy VII Remake or Rebirth or whatever the third title is going to be, they are fucked. Final Fantasy 16 flopped. Why? Because, well, a week before 16 came out, here's 7 Rebirth.
Yeah.
Here's a teaser for it. Horrible fucking marketing. Why would you do that? You kill 16. Final Fantasy 17, I don't think that's going to do well. But all they do is focus on that because they're thinking, we made a killing off a remake. We're going to make that with Rebirth. Nope. A lot of people say it's bloated. I said it was bloated, but I did. People said I'm a hater.
Yeah, and dude, kind of tying both points, when did Rebirth come out? During the pandemic when people were starving for games. And things are different. And then with Rebirth specifically, it's the middle game. It starts in the literally in the middle of nowhere and ends in the middle of nowhere. that was never going to be a big seller. So Square Enix really should have. Square Enix is tripping, bro. I remember when Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, 2016, I believe, that game sold 5 million copies like within a couple months, and they were like, "Oh, this didn't meet our sales expectations." Like, what? Like, how much did the shit need to sell? The game eventually went on to sell way more than that. But Square Enix in general have really weird expectations. They really needed to be more realistic. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, you're right about the game. I love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I'll be the first one to admit that was too much bloat. Too much. You could have scaled all. But again, publishers think, oh, we need to hit X amount of hours played. Shit like, no, you don't. You need a good focused experience. Yeah, I would appreciate that way more than some bloated, crazy mini games that you don't necessarily need.
Yeah, and the also too, like with so many games now, we got the standard over the shoulder kind of like tank controls, and it's become the standard. I feel like for the last close to 10 years, and it's like when I went back and I played was it Ninja Gaiden 2 Black yesterday, when I downloaded and played it, I'm like, fuck, I remember when games just be fun. I don't have to have this narrative Emmy-winning story. I can just run around, just hack people up with a sword. I ain't gonna do that in real life, but in the video game, like I miss when games were like that.
No, bro, everything you're saying right now, like I literally said on my podcast last night, I'm like, what happened to games like this? We used to get games like that. As a matter of fact, one of the other games I said that about was Stellar Blade last year. I'm like, what happened to games like this, man?
Yeah.
But no, pure hack and slash, motherfucking Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden. What happened?
Yeah.
And again, those games are not about like, oh yeah, we need this deep narrative. Oh, we need 50 million skill trees and all this other shit. No, get in there, give me a sword, I'm hacking shit up. That's all you need, bro. Quick aside, because I was never really like an Xbox guy. But ironically, when I first really started making money off my journalism, first thing I did was buy an Xbox One, right? And I bought the Gears of War like HD collection, whatever it was. Because I didn't grow up with an Xbox, so I never played Gears of War. I'm like, let me play Gears of War, bro. I'm talking about the first Gears of War that came out 2007, right? I love that fucking game. There was no skill trees, none of this stuff. It's just you're there with a gun that has a fucking chainsaw and you're hacking shit. That's the whole game, and it's beautiful. I played that shit like 10 times in a row, back to back to back to back. And by the way, you can't do that in games anymore because games are so fucking long. You don't want to replay them. You're like, no, I'm good. But before, when you have a game that's like 8 hours, yo, let's go back. Oh, let me try this. Let me try that. All that is gone. But to your point, that simplicity of just like, let me have fun is gone. And I really think this is why I really got back or reinvigorated my love of fighting games, because there's no bullshit. It's just get in there, whip some ass, or get your ass whipped. Very simple. I will say this though, man. I am grateful that even though the industry is not doing so well, at least the fighting game genre is doing pretty good. I know some cats are complaining, oh, Street Fighter doesn't have costumes. Oh, I don't like the heat system in Tekken. I get it, but like, yo, we're kind of eating good right now with so many games, bro. Like Fatal Fury. I know you and I were waiting for that, bro. So we're eating good. Mai's coming to Street Fighter. I actually played with her. That's funny. I played as Mai during an event a couple weeks ago, and she's gonna be a demon, bro. Like, well, when cats get in there, that's gonna be fun. 2XKO is coming. So there's still some bright spots within the gaming industry. But again, fighting games don't cost as much as some of these other games, but even they take too long too. Remember, again, and I love how I could talk to you about this shit. We used to get a King of Fighters game every single year for like 10 years straight. You know why they changed? Remember, it used to be 94, 95, 96. We used to have a year at the end of them. And you know why they stopped doing the years? Because they couldn't keep up, And now we get a King of Fighters game every 4 or 5 years. So it's like, even then, bro, even with games that don't take as long as like a Red Dead Redemption, it still takes a long time. So even there you could kind of maybe cut things back a little bit, but yeah, you got to find your bright spot there. And again, we're not being too down on the whole industry, because obviously there's still a lot of good games coming out. Like, I am really stoked for Doom, the Dark Ages, bro. That's going to be tight.
Man, yes.
and you're not going to hear from me once Monster Hunter drops. Monster Hunter Wilds comes, I'm done. Like, I'm only going to come back up for air when Fatal Fury comes out a month and a half later. So there's still some bright spots, but we do need to just scale things back. And I think all the bleeding we've been seeing is going to make companies wake up. But my question is, will fans accept that? Because we got to blame the fans a little bit too. They asked for so much. They said, have this, have that. Dudes yesterday were asking, oh, does Doom Eternal have multiplayer? What? Well, like, okay, I understand 2016 game had multiplayer, but like, oh, does it have co-op? None of these games had co-op. What are you asking for? And I'm going to take it back. Remember the Order 1886? People were mad that the game didn't have co-op. I'm like, they never promised you that. They didn't tell you this, bro. So I think players also need to keep their expectations in check, man. Like, just have a game. All you need is a game that's fun. Like, just to your point, all you need is a game that's fun. And by the way, I'm looking forward to getting back into Gaiden Black, bro. Ooh, yes. I love that game, man. Like, I want to get destroyed and love every second of it.
Man, I put out a clip from my stream the other day. I was like, "Yo, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is hard. We're gonna keep it hard. No Diddy, but we're gonna keep it hard." Yo, I had hella people like triggered by me saying that. They're like, "Oh, you need to be more PC." Fuck that.
Fuck that shit, bro. No. We got to go back to fun, bro. It's like, let people have fun. They're not trying to be, we're not saying anything that's like trying to be mean or anything. It's just. Listen, the way we grew up, our respective cultures, this is just the way we are, man. You got to respect it,
Yeah, and it's like it's crazy to sit and think like we've been around long enough to have gone through the NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, to the original PlayStation, and like just seeing how gaming and the reason, if any of y'all who are listening or watching when this goes up are wondering like, oh, how come you guys are so casual about it? Because we've seen generations of gaming. We went from the pixels, the 8-bit pixels, to where we have the lifelike graphics. And it's like gaming has evolved so much, but in many ways, as it's been evolving, at least in the last couple of years, the fun factor has been kind of waning. And it needs to come back. I just want to turn my brain off sometime. I don't need a tutorial that's like 2 hours long, which is why I don't fuck with Persona. And a lot of people like, oh, Persona. I there's some Personas I like. 2. Okay. Persona 2. But how many of y'all who hopped on with 5 and like every game needs to be like this? I'm not in high school anymore. I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, I will say, because I really like the Persona games, but I agree with you. I don't need to be in high school. This is why I don't watch a lot of anime nowadays, because I'm old school anime, bro. Ninja Scroll, Akira, Fist of the North Star. That's the anime I like. But then, like, it seemed like after Evangelion hit, everything's just high school stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm about to be 45, bro. I can't identify with this stuff. Angst of a teenager. Like, nah, bro. Can we have some adults? We used to have adults in anime,
Yeah.
Well, 13 isn't some little kid, There's Vampire Hunter D, like Crying Freeman. I could go off on by old school anime. I love that stuff, man. But yeah, you're right. It's like, bring back the fun factor. I think people will resonate with that. You don't need all this fluff like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth,
Yeah. All right, I got 2 more. Well, yeah, 2 more questions that I want to ask you because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But like, okay, this Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Okay, so I have some feelings because I bought the Switch, and the Switch was actually the first Nintendo console I bought since the SNES. I kind of fell off Nintendo. Like, I didn't really care for the N64 or the Wii or the Wii. I didn't really whatever. But I bought the Switch, and I thought it was good. But eventually, because even when it came out, it was already like technically outdated. So the graphics weren't there. I remember, bro, I played Horizon Zero Dawn when it first came out. Amazing. Then I jumped into Zelda. I'm like, like, yo, this shit's looking good, you know. Obviously the gameplay was great and all that, but it just didn't hit me. And I absolutely loved Super Mario Odyssey. Fantastic game, right? So and the last game I played for Switch was Metroid Dread, which was another fantastic game. But by that point, because when I originally got the Switch, I had because I don't really like playing handheld, more like playing docked. I had a 1080p TV. When it upscaled, it was fine. I got a 4K TV. I'm like, I can't play Switch anymore. Those games did not look good for 4K. So I bought this thing. It's called the M Classic. It's like a converter, like an upscaler.
Oh yeah. I got one of those too.
Yeah. So it made it good. But I was like, I think I'm good with Nintendo. I saw the Switch 2. I like the new tweaks they've done to it. You know, a little bit bigger. It's like, thank you. You know, I'm keeping it real. I'm not Japanese. I got big hands, so I'm glad they have that. You know, that. By the way, that's one of the reasons I bought the Switch. I saw it, I'm like, oh, here we go with the fucking weird ass controllers. Here we go. But then they showed the Pro controller. I'm like, okay, I can fuck with that. And that Pro controller was great because for my hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm still kind of on the fence about Switch 2. Because what are they gonna have? Mario Kart? I don't really care about Mario Kart. I don't care about Smash Brothers. Yeah, I'm gonna get some hate for this now. I don't consider that a fighting game. Sorry. Sorry. So I if they have a Mario Odyssey 2, I may have to fuck with it, man. Because again, it's fun. That game, Mario Odyssey, it reminded me of playing the old school Marios, like you said, pure fun, Astrobot, that type of deal. So we'll see about it. But yeah, I'd like the kind of designs. And I'll say this though, because there's been a ton of leaks for the Nintendo Switch 2, right? All the design leaks were 100% on point, which leads me to believe all the rumors that we've heard about, its specs, its performance are also true. And if that's the case, we're gonna get a machine that's comparable to like the PlayStation 4. You're gonna see a good amount of third parties on this thing. So I think if that's correct, it's gonna be a very viable system for even people beyond Nintendo. Hey, other companies would be like, hey, dude, think about this. They got Guilty Gear Strive on the regular Switch, right?
Yeah.
Why now? Companies would be like, yo, I'll put City of the Wolves on there. I'll put Tekken on there. Those games run on PS4, right? So if you have a machine that's comparable, I think that'll be good. But I'm curious to see how first-party Nintendo games will take advantage of that hardware. Because again, Nintendo does its own thing. They're not about graphical prowess. They really care about the fun, but at the same time, can you at least give us a little something, like some fidelity? And I know, I understand that is not how most Nintendo fans feel, but I'm a tech guy. I like crazy graphics cards and shit like that. I was a dude that used to love going to arcades because the arcades looked way better than your home console. Like I remember, bro, and I know you probably feel it. It's the first time I saw Virtua Fighter 3. I was like,
yes,
this game looks insane.
Yes,
like nothing looked like that. Think about it like this: Virtua Fighter 3 came out in like 1996.
Yeah.
4 years later, the game finally came out on Dreamcast. The arcade version still looked better. That was a power. So I like games that, and it's funny because I'm telling the companies to scale back, but at the same time, I also like really expensive looking games. Like I enjoy that shit because I like seeing what technology can do. But obviously, that's not something Nintendo needs to worry about. But give us a little something,
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see. What is it? April, right? We're gonna get like a direct for Nintendo Direct where we're gonna learn more. So hopefully we'll see. Because I will say this though, my original stance was I'm not buying the Switch 2 because I didn't care for the Switch 1. But after that trailer, I'm like, let's be open minded about stuff. Because it might be good. Because like you said, it's good to own all the consoles just so you're covered, right? And I know dudes Tony, but didn't you say you don't own Xbox? That's because I have a PC, bro. I'm covered with Xbox. I'm covered. I'm good.
Yeah.
I played the Halo Master Chief Collection on my PC with my boy, and we had a great time. So I'm not missing out on stuff. So we'll see about Nintendo, man. But what about you? Are you like looking forward to it, or how do you feel about it?
To be honest, like I'm at a point now where if they have a Mario Odyssey 2 as a launch title, that's day one. I'm in the building.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I'm in the building with that. But anything else, like I kind of got to this point where, and I feel like if I have the choice of playing a third-party game on the Switch or on PC or PlayStation, I'm not going to play it on a Switch. Like my least played console, and I get a lot of shit for this all the time, is the Switch. Because outside of Mario, I don't really care to play on it. It literally sits and collects. I mean, my Xbox collects a lot of dust, but like that's just how it is. Like I'm optimistic to see what they're gonna do, and I've said for years that whatever the successor to it is, it's gonna have to be more powerful. And I think Nintendo has been watching the Steam Deck, all these handheld gaming PCs, which has probably inspired a lot of the things that they want to do with this console. It has to have some power behind it because we all know Nintendo first party games, they have a lot of polish, but Nintendo needs to have third party support. Why did the 64 fail? Why did the GameCube fail? Why did the Wii U fail? Because it didn't have third party support. The reason the Switch did well is because third parties started developing a lot of their games and porting it over. But if you have something, if the Switch 2, if the leaks are true, the rumors are true that it's going to be comparable to a PlayStation 4, then you're going to see a lot of day and date games because we still get PlayStation 4 games being made.
Yep.
So we'll see. But if it ain't got Mario Odyssey at launch, I don't know. I'm not going to, I might have to wait.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Like I'm the same boat. I wouldn't buy any third-party games for Switch because I have other options. I have a PC.
Yeah.
Also, do you own a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally or anything like that?
Yeah, I got ROG Ally. I've got the Lenovo Legion Go. I had a Steam Deck, but after I went to the ROG Ally and the Legion Go, I'm like, I don't want to play on this thing. I got tired of tinkering. Yeah, and a lot of people keep saying like, oh, Windows is horrible on handheld. I've never had an issue with it. I'm a tech guy, so.
My thing is like I actually have complained about Windows 11 on handhelds, but that's because I want it to be just a pure handheld. But if you want to really have access to everything, Windows 11 is the way to go. But the reason I'm asking that's because see, that gives you even less of a reason to get third-party games on Switch, because if you buy a game on PC, if you want to play it on the go, you got your Legion Go, you got your Ally, so there's even less of a reason to get the Switch 2. Switch 2, for guys like us would be purely for the exclusives, but also, like you said, those exclusives will be very polished. I will always give Nintendo that. Those games, like, bro, we're at a point where I play a game. If it isn't buggy, I'm surprised. I'm like, oh, it works. So
me too.
I'm like, oh shit, there's nothing wrong with this. Isn't that sad, bro? Isn't that sad? Like, oh, something wrong with it. This game runs fine. But with Nintendo, you already know you're getting that the seal of approval, from back in the day. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm again, I don't know if I'm gonna buy it, but I'm open to it. But I am eager to see what they're gonna pull off.
Okay. All right. So my last question for you is about your podcast.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start it? What has kept you motivated to keep consistent episodes coming and flowing out? Wait, that sounded wrong. But anyways, I was like, pause. No Diddy on that. But what?
This is what it's about, man. Oh God, this just went off the rails. I love it.
Like, bro, I promise ain't no baby oil over here.
Yeah, none of that. We're dry here. But yeah, to answer your question, so when I first started, you'll love this. The name of Torrance's website was STFU and Play. Yes, shut the fuck up and play. And think like this, bro. We started that site 12 years ago, in 2012, because back then we were like, yo, you guys talk too much shit on Twitter. Play your games. Nothing has changed. That name is still appropriate. So anyway, so Torrance had a podcast called the Warzone Podcast, which is very inspirational to me, right? And we had a new website, and it's like, hey, why don't we have like a compliment podcast to the Warzone? Warzone was the main show, obviously, every Friday night. So me and some of the guys that were there were like, yo, we should do our own podcast. Like, yeah, let's do it. And we're throwing around names, and I'm the one that came up with the name of Throwdown. And one of the things I wanted to do that's still kind of the same ethos, like, because me and my friend, and I got to give him a shout out, Emilio Lopez, who's actually my co-host on Throwdown. We would always have these really like good conversations just by phone, right? It's like, yo, that would be a good podcast, So I'm really happy when fans tell us like, yo, when I was into your show, it's like I'm just hanging out with the fellas, just talking about games. Like, yes, that's exactly what we want it to feel like. So that's what started. It's like we wanted to have a compliment with Warzone, but obviously SU Film Play went away. And then with Throwdown, we kind of went on hiatus for a little bit. And then we were like, yo, let's start the podcast over again from number one, just start the numbering again. Because me and my friend Emilio, we're both comic book guys. So when you start the next volume, you start at number one, and I talked to my boy Richard Bailey from the Coalition. It's like, yo, would you host the podcast for us? Like, can we post the podcast on the Coalition? But I had also joined the Coalition, so it kind of worked out and stuff. But then eventually we completely broke away. We're just completely independent. But yeah, what's kept us going all this time is just I really like getting together with my friends every Thursday and Sunday night. My friends, and this includes not only people on the panel, but also the fans, who are in our Discord all the time. And it's funny that people talk so much shit about gamers. These dudes are very well behaved. They talk their stuff. Obviously, we're all crazy people, but everything's nice and respectful. Yeah, so that's why I do it. I like getting together with my friends, talking about games. And again, I just love this industry so much. I like delving deeper into the topics and stuff. So I think as long as I have that passion for gaming and talking to people about games, it's never going to go away. And again, I'm very proud of the fact that we've never missed a single episode. Like our episodes always land almost on the exact date they're supposed to. Like episode 550 will land on the first week or the first Thursday of September this year, because that's just the way I do it. Because basically, I kind of just take the last 2 weeks of the year. We take those off, so we always get 50 episodes or 100 episodes, and it always works out. And for example, like when I was at CES, I couldn't host a show. My boy Emilio did it, and then if he can't do it for whatever reason, because this happened where him and I, we like maybe go to like a show together at night, my boy Carlos takes over. Like, you will always get a podcast, and I like that the fans always appreciate that we never miss. Like, they wake up that next day, because most of our fans, they're not watching it live, they listen to it after the fact, right? So I like that when they wake up, Friday, Monday morning, they got a fresh show, and that motivates me, man. Because again, I love gaming so much, man. Gaming's given me so much in life, not only like in terms of like entertainment, but even my career and meeting dope people like you. It's like I need to just get out there and just spread the love as much as I can. And I like the fact that I could, on my podcast, I don't have to do it quote unquote professionally, like with my write-ups and stuff. Like, obviously when you read my write-ups, it's still me, it still sounds like me, but I can't be cursing in a fucking article. So it's good to just talk my shit, and I also like the different personalities, because they're all my friends. I'm not gathering like big people from other podcasts. Like, it's just my boys. We're just hanging out, talking shit, and sometimes we get the name Throwdown is there for a reason. Sometimes, fucking we get into it, but what do we do afterwards? Like, yo, you want to play a game? Let's do something. Because like, even when the conversation get intense, we start yelling at each other and shit. It's always so respectful because we all love each other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I remember Chris and Brett, when the original Switch came out, there were some heated fucking debates. Brett was very much into the Switch. Chris thought it wasn't that great. These guys would yell at each other. People in the comments were like, yo, are they gonna fight, bro? And what would happen every time? They would be like, because Demon's Souls 3 was at that point, like, yo, let's play some games, bro. Like they didn't take that shit personally. That's what gaming's about. You get passionate, but if you're with your friends, you're all good,
Yeah. Yeah, that's just that's one of the things, man. Like, and to touch on podcasting, has that not gotten so much easier now to do a podcast
It has,
compared
yeah.
to like the last decade?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about that. The equipment is a lot better. Streaming is a lot better. The speeds and everything. It's gotten better. Although I will say, I find it funny. I have and a lot of people have this camera, obviously the Logitech C920. This is the
Hmm.
same camera I've been using for over 10 years, man. I've upgraded my microphone and all that. But no, podcasting has definitely gotten easier. It's also, I've been doing this for so long, I just kind of just go with it. And it's even to
Yeah.
a point where I've gone to like conventions and shows where I'm just talking with buddies and like, yo, pull out the mic, let's go. We just podcast right there.
Yeah.
Right there. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, right? Danny Pena was staying in New York, and him and I would actually get together like every 2 weeks at Bryant Park.
Mhm.
For the sake of our sanity, and I think we recorded a couple podcasts. Just we were drinking, talking shit, like, yo, let's record, bro. Let's go. Like, I don't need a lot of incentive. I don't need a lot of prep work to just talk about games. I'm always ready, man, because I love this shit. Like
Yeah.
even tonight, I didn't need prep. I'm like, we're gonna talk about games. Let's fucking do it. Like, let's go. You know?
Oh man. All right. So I got actually one last question,
Yeah.
and this is one because you're an OG with games like me. Virtua Fighter, the new one that's coming out, whatever,
Man.
Virtua Fighter 6, whatever it is. You got a lot of people out there. I guess people who've the young, basically, I think this is the young Thundercats that only ever played Tekken 7 or 8.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know the Thundercat reference, but whatever.
Yeah.
But they're saying there's no need for Virtua Fighter, and that a lot of them are saying Virtua Fighter is a ripoff of Tekken, and I'm just like, pause.
Bruh. The ignorance. Hold up. I don't know if you have another point, but I'm ready to go off already.
Go.
All right. First of all, they're saying there's no need for Virtua Fighter, right? Fucking Harada has been asking for Virtua Fighter. The guy who makes Tekken is saying we need Virtua Fighter back. And he has a lot of respect for that franchise. Why? Because Virtua Fighter is the king of all 3D fighting games. That is the one that started it all. So again, what you just brought up, I've seen that online, and it distresses me. And there's even some, I'm not gonna name them, some big time like YouTubers, some big men, who are talking shit about, like Virtua Fighter. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, don't you want competition for Tekken? That's a good thing, because back in the day when Tekken had that competition, they had to step up, to Virtua, and vice versa. So yeah, that's very distressing because again, Virtua Fighter, the classic of classic games, like that is one of the pillars of fighting games. Like the pillars for me are Street Fighter. Without Street Fighter 2 specifically, we wouldn't have any of this. That's the game. And I'm being very specific. Not Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter was still kind of fucked up,
Yeah.
Set the pace. Dude, I can still play Street Fighter 2, the original, and I'm like, this is fantastic. Right. So the pillars, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and fucking Virtua Fighter, right? Those three set the template for everything that came out afterwards, right? So for you to diss any of those games, like you don't know your history. You're ignorant, especially with Virtua Fighter, And I know, I'm biased because I love Virtua Fighter. I have been screaming at Sega for the entirety of my gaming career. Where the fuck is Virtua Fighter 6? I said this on the original version of my podcast in 2012 when Final Showdown came out on PS3. Like, and even then, bro, the game had already been like 9 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I was like, what's going on here? So just to take it back a little bit, last year, right, we had the announcement of Marvel vs. Capcom collection, right? And I'll tell you a quick story. I'm having such a blast right now. I'm just chilling, just talking, because this is real shit, man. This is gaming, bro. I was in the office chilling, right, talking to one of my colleagues, because the Nintendo Direct was going on at that time, but I was working, so I wasn't watching it. I get an email from Capcom, and it said Marvel's Capcom, right? I stopped. I told my boy, I'm like, bro, for 20 years, I've wanted nothing more than to get a collection with X-Men, Children of the Atom, Marvel superheroes, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter, Marvel's Capcom 1, Marvel's Capcom 2. I'm like, if this email says what I think it says, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. I read the email, bro. All those games were listed. I went to the bathroom and I fucking screamed. Like that, bro, I've been waiting years, man. I owned the Sega Saturn, right? That was the console for fighting games. Played X-Men, Marvel all day. Son, that 1 year when the Sega Saturn stopped making games and before the Dreamcast came out, I would just play X-Men versus Street Fighter, import copy all day. These games meant a lot to me. So having them in that collection, it reinvigorated that zeal for fighting games. Because I'll be honest, I kind of fell off fighting games after Street Fighter 5 was so traumatic. It just like oh man, I guess this game. Here's the thing, I'm pretty good at fighting games, but I would consider myself hardcore FTC levels. I'm like, oh, you're just making a game for FTC people. You don't care about it. No arcade mode, none of this shit. It's just bare bones. I'm like, I guess that's what the genre is now, But then when Street Fighter 6 came out, I'm like, this is fucking amazing. This is great. But it took Marvel's Capcom collection to really reinvigorate that zeal. I was going off on my podcast, and I said this on my podcast, and I said that on Twitter. The only other game announcement that could get me this hype is Virtua Fighter 6, and it finally happened. And I remember before that, we were getting teases like, yo, Virtua Fighter's coming, Virtua Fighter's coming. I didn't want to believe it because my heart had been broken so many times. Sega teasing Virtua Fighter and never delivering on it. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. So when we finally got that reveal at the Game Awards, and it's on tape, I scream like, I'm losing my shit. You see Akira looking hardcore. You saw that one snippet. It was like him and not Sarah. Her name's Stella.
Yeah.
Bro, there was the way she was parrying his attacks. I'm like, yo, I don't think that's manual. I think that's happening just by holding the block button. And that made me think, why haven't any fighting games done this shit? Every time, when they block, it's just like that, and they stay still. Like there's no movement, But it's like, bap, bap, bap. I'm like, why don't we have this? Virtua Fighter is coming back. It's gonna be innovative, and it's by motherfucking the Yakuza team, Ryo ga Gotogo, bro. This game is real right now. Like I predict. They're finally going to flesh out a story for Virtua Fighter. You never really had one. We're probably going to get that. I wouldn't mind if they had their own version of World Tour mode. Imagine that, Yakuza running around fucking people up and stuff. But then you get the hardcore, fighting game mechanics and everything. Excuse me, going back to Evo and all that. By the way, I am so happy that VF5 Revo is going to be represented at Evo this year, man. Yes, these young Thundercats, as you call them, they need to see the glory of Virtua Fighter because there's nothing else like it. It is pure, gritty martial arts. No fucking fireballs, none of that crazy shit. Even Tech, I'd love me some Tekken, but I'm like, yo, you guys are getting a little too crazy right now. Tekken 8, the final battles in space and shit, some Dragon Ball stuff's going on. I'm like, what are we doing right now, bro? So Virtua Fighter, it's just kung fu, crazy shit. I don't. Did you see that NVIDIA stream? Out of nowhere, they just showed Virtua Fighter. I'm like, what the fuck? Bro, I am so hyped. I hope that this game is so good that these young dudes that are doubting, they'll be like, okay, let me shut up now because this is the shit right here.
Yeah. When they did that, they're like, oh, Virtua Fighter 6. I was like, wait, what? I just my kids are like, Dad, what's wrong? I'm like, Virtua Fighter. They're like, what is that? You gonna learn today?
You're gonna learn,
You go, man, like that. I streamed the Revo beta.
Mm-hmm.
I streamed that beta, and I think I did it on YouTube and TikTok, and I had a lot of young people coming in like, oh, this is like a Tekken clone. I'm like, I paused the game the minute someone said that. I'm like, look, you woke up and chose violence today.
Yes, bro, they really did. They don't know. Like, oh, it's like Tekken, right? No, it's the other way around, bro. You wouldn't have Tekken. You wouldn't have Tekken without Virtua Fighter. You wouldn't have all those 3D fighting games you like without that shit. Like Dead or Alive. A lot of people don't know those first Dead or Alive games. They ran on the same engine as Virtua Fighter,
Mhm.
right? Like Virtua Fighter inspired so much. Think about it like this: with Tekken 4, right? They had, those levels that are kind of uneven, like 6 years after Virtua Fighter
That's
had
right.
already done that shit.
Yes.
It's like, come on, son. Like Virtua Fighter did so much, like customizable like characters from Virtua Fighter 4. Tekken took that,
Yep.
So it's like, here's my thing.
The whole ranking system.
The ranking, yes, you're right. First Dan and all that. So I'm not telling people, oh, you need to love Virtua Fighter. I'm saying please respect it. Respect it because it is the original that started all the 3D shit. If you love Soul Calibur, if you love any of that stuff, you gotta pay respects, bro. That's all I'm asking. But I really believe that when this game drops, you're in Hawaii, you're gonna hear me screaming, man. Like it's gonna be real, bro. It's gonna be real. I can't wait.
Man, I can't. And then like Revo is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait. Sega hit me up. They're like, "Hey, you want to cover it?" I'm like, "Yes,
My man.
Yes." Stay tuned for Monday.
All right. Okay. Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. I love it, man. Like that's what I'm talking about, bro. Like all that hard work, that passion you have, it's paying off,
Yeah.
And it's not fake. You're not gonna have some dumbass that's never heard of Virtua Fighter up there talking. It's like they're gonna have a real dude, So that I love it, man. Get ready, people. Virtua Fighter is gonna be incredible.
Yep. All right, man. With that being said, is there anything you want to leave the audience with before you go? Anything you want to plug? The floor is yours. The show is yours.
Yeah. First of all, obviously, I want to thank you again for having me on. This was a great honor. I already knew this was going to be a great conversation. Like no need to break the ice. We're already boys. We're good. Love the passion. I had to be on here longer than I said I was going to because it's just when conversations are real, bro. I'm like let it rock. Let it rock. So thank you for having me, and thank you not only like you said, I inspired you, but you also inspired me, man. Like I love watching your videos, like about fighting game controllers and stuff. Not a lot of people do them as well as you do, man. And it's funny, like I would like buy a controller, like, hey, does anybody done a video on this? You had already done it, like Fighting Commander Octa and stuff like that. The Victrix Pro BFG, and like you got those videos, and I really like the way you do your videos because it's like it's a good mix of like it's produced but not too produced. It's like I call that rawness. I like that. I don't like it when people are too overproduced and shit. Like I want real people. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the passion that you bring, the professionalism, and keep doing what you're doing, man. Like it's again. The inspiration goes the other way around. Like I'm inspired by you too, man. So thank you for that, making our people look good. Always appreciate it. And shout out to the fans who watch this show. Please check me out over on Twitter at Romudeath. You'll see links to everything I do. I'm at tomsky.com. Throwdown Show on your favorite podcast app. We're on every podcast app. Throwdown Show. That's 2 words: Throwdown and Show. And hit me up on Twitter. Be respectful, obviously, and we could talk, man. And the last thing I want to say is like, bring it back around for you console fanboys. Stop the bullshit, bro. Stop the nonsense and play your games. Shut the fuck up and play. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Oh man, I love it. We definitely got to do this again, man. We got to chop it up again.
I got to get you on my show, bro. Like we got, it's got to be the other way around now.
Man, let me know.
I'll let you know. Yeah, we got to do it because because now I want to get you on so I can interview you. And ask you like where you come from. I know your fans already know your story, but like I'm gonna it's like what's your origin story? So we'll talk. We'll get you on with the fellas. You'll get along with everybody. It's gonna be fantastic.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And thank you again, man. It's an honor having you on the show. People, make sure you go follow Tony. And also, I'm going to leave links to everything that Tony has in the description down below for the podcast, also for the video version on Spotify and for YouTube. But all that being said, thank you again for coming on the show. We got to do this again. Can't wait. Absolute honor. And with that being said, people, we'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace.
If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast or any of the other episodes that we've done so far, if you've enjoyed any of the conversations I've had with the guests that I've had on the show, or just general topics that you guys have thrown at me or that I've researched and we've just talked about on the show, then do me a solid. If you're listening on any of the major podcasting outlets, make sure you leave a comment, leave a rating or a review, because it greatly helps out the show. If you're watching the show on YouTube, which airs every single week, then make sure you sub to the channel, youtube.com/@Mekel Kasanova, or just youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, or even do us an even bigger solid by liking the video and sharing it with someone you think would find some enjoyment out of it. And all that being said, I hope you guys continue to enjoy this podcast and the content we put out here, because hey, we do it with a passion and we do it for you. So with that being said, I catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, be blessed, and I'll see you around. Peace.